The vicious attack on a teenage girl outside a library left her paralyzed and blind. Kendrick Morris was supposed to serve 65 years in prison.
He laughed in court, a 16-year-old convicted criminal smirking at the very people whose lives he had devastated. But that grin didn't last long, because one sentence from the judge was enough to wipe the smirk off his face.
There was a case that cried out for a life sentence. This is the case.
He raped and brutally beat a high school senior as she dropped off a book at the Bloomingdale Library.
This morning, Kendrick Morris went back to court in hopes of getting a break on a 65-year prison sentence.
But to understand what judge sentenced him for, you have to go back to an April night that began with something completely unremarkable. A library run. A girl returning books before closing.
Right now at 5, a roll of the dice backfires for a violent rapist. The new fate Kendrick Morris now faces.
She was sentenced behind the Bloomingdale Library April 24, 2008 to a lifetime of suffering.
Queen Afu was 18 years old, at the top of her class, with a full scholarship waiting for her that fall. She was the kind of student teachers remember, passionate about reading, driven, sharp. She had mapped out her future and was moving toward it.
She had mentioned on the phone that there was a weird-looking guy sitting on a bench.
One of the victim's best friends, Rachel Hall, told the jury about how the victim left work that night. Here's video from that Abercrombie & Fitch store, and then went to drop off books.
And then I heard the scream, and the phone just went dead.
That April night, she was on her phone with a friend, walking back to her car when she mentioned something offhand. A man nearby, just sitting, watching her. Her voice had that edge. The one you get when something feels wrong, but you can't name it.
Rachel said she asked to stay on the line, noting the weird guy nearby.
I asked, like, oh, what happened? But the phone cut off, so,
Do you need a minute?
yeah.
Another friend testified in the trial, Priscilla Vieira, who showed up at the scene first after Rachel called her.
There was blood on the floor, and the driver's side door was open, and then her phone was like in two, underneath the car.
Priscilla said she retold Rachel's story to the 911 operator, and the jury heard the frantic phone call.
Then, the scream. A single, shattering shriek that cut through the phone line, and then, silence. Her friend stood frozen on the other end, already knowing. Queena's family made it to the library within minutes, hearts breaking open the whole drive there.
In day one of what could be a 2-week-long trial, the state showed the jury several pictures of the crime scene, including the bench where the victim said she saw a weird guy sitting.
What they found behind the building was devastating. Queena was unconscious and critically injured in an isolated area near the library. Her phone was broken, her car door was open, and investigators immediately understood this was not an ordinary assault.
She expresses with facial expressions and sounds, yelling out, crying.
A bright, college-bound 18-year-old, now blinded, paralyzed, Queena can't speak, even swallow on her own, after then 16-year-old Kendrick Morris smashed in her skull and raped her.
Doctors later confirmed that the attack had caused catastrophic injuries, including severe brain trauma and permanent disabilities. The young woman, who had been preparing for college, would now need full-time care for the rest of her life.
The thing about that DNA is that's the only evidence that they're going to have in this case, is the DNA. There's not going to be anything that corroborates it.
Investigators moved fast. DNA evidence from the scene pointed directly to a 16-year-old who regularly hung around that library after school. His name was Kendrick Morris. The match was exact and undeniable. But when they ran that DNA through criminal records, something even darker surfaced. Investigators also linked him to a previous violent sexual assault against a 62-year-old woman committed months earlier. That victim was old enough to be his grandmother. He was 15 years old.
Judge Tharp called this a heinous, atrocious, and cruel crime, and that the only fitting punishment for Kendrick Morris is life in prison. In a packed courtroom, Judge Tharp read aloud for over 30 minutes. He considered everything he heard after a hearing last month where both the defense and prosecution gave countless testimonies. He weighed both crimes Morris committed. The first was when he was 15 years old when he raped a daycare worker. The second when he was 16 and brutally attacked and viciously raped Queen of Fu. Judge Tharp said Morris knew what he was doing and said the crime was more than youthful discretion.
2 victims, 1 attacker. A pattern that made clear this was not an impulse, not a lapse in judgment, not a troubled kid having a bad night. This was someone who had already decided what he was willing to do to other people.
I had no idea what to expect.
The defense asking the same judge to reduce Morris's sentence after U.S. and Florida Supreme Court decisions declaring lengthy punishments for juveniles unconstitutional without a chance of release.
By the time the trial began, the defense had assembled a narrative. Morris came from an abusive home. He had suffered. He had been shaped by circumstances beyond his control. Psychologists took the stand. Scars were described. Sympathy was requested. The strategy was visible from every seat in the room. Dress a predator in victimhood and hope the jury loses track of what he actually did.
Life sentences are the only appropriate sentences in this case.
A life sentence for a rapist who left a young woman for dead 9 years ago.
I want to say that it's a victory, but it seems wrong to say that.
Kendrick Morris showed little emotion as the judge read his decision. Afterward, the loved ones of the woman he nearly killed shared a tearful embrace.
I believe justice was served, but in the end, both lives now are sentenced to life.
What was missing from every word of that defense was something simple, an acknowledgement. A single moment in which Kendrick Morris looked at what he had done to Queen of Fu and demonstrated that he understood it was wrong. That moment never came. Not once across the entire trial did he say he was sorry. The jury watched him carefully. They saw through it, guilty on every count.
The judge could have shortened the sentence. Instead, he lengthened it, and he got choked up as he recounted Queena's story.
She was unresponsive. Having suffered major injuries.
Judge Tharp sentenced him to 65 years. The courtroom absorbed that number. Queena's family absorbed it differently, not with satisfaction, but with the particular grief of people who know that no sentence gives back what was taken.
Now, the young man, who is 19 years old now but was 15 at the time of the crime, sat quietly and was emotionless this morning.
But Morris was not finished. Years later, his lawyers filed an appeal, arguing that 65 years without parole constituted cruel and unusual punishment for someone who had been a juvenile. They cited Supreme Court rulings. They argued for mercy.
He said to me, "Why can't I see? I'm so itchy everywhere. Can you scratch me? I can't move."
Queen of Fu, at that same moment, could not argue for anything. She was in a wheelchair. She was blind. She could not form words, could not swallow food, could not perform a single basic function without another person's help.
At this clinic in Brandon.
So any neck issues that I find, I'm gonna work on.
Queen of Fu's smile lights up the room.
Those noises are not random.
It's a struggle to talk.
She's communicating.
But the sound of her voice fills her mother, Vanna Wynn's heart.
Everyone said she make their day.
Especially on this day, when she nearly lost Queena exactly 16 years ago.
Still very sad, still very emotional.
Morris returned to court expecting mercy, but Judge Tharp gave him life. Queena's family wept. Justice had spoken, but nothing could restore the life she lost.
The second when he was 16 and brutally attacked and viciously raped Queen of Fu. Judge Tharp said Morris knew what he was doing and said the crime was more than youthful discretion. Queena's family was in court today, and while happy with the life sentence, their outcome will never change.
It's not a joyous moment in any sense. for us. We're still going to have to go back home and take care of Queena forever. And nothing has changed for us in that aspect.
Morris's smirk was nowhere to be seen. Today, Queena is in her mid-30s. Her mother, Van Nguyen, has spent years advocating for her, writing about her, refusing to let the public forget her name.
Head has to stay elevated or she'll choke on her tongue.
Today, she can't eat, walk, or talk on her own.
We turn the other way.
But her life continues to touch people.
Turn.
Beyond this room.
Despite the attack that changed Queena's life, her mother says she continues to be an inspiration to others. She documents it all in a book called The Life She Once Knew.
Her social media is flooded with support, encouraging people around the world to never give up.
We're gonna stretch some muscles.
Queena's therapists consider her family.
Her story has reached national audiences. Her mother speaks for her because Queena cannot speak for herself, and she does it without stopping, without softening, without letting the world look away.
Always difficult to relive that day, and but it's just a reminder of how horrific the crime was.
No court ruling restores what Queena lost on that April night. No sentence gives back her vision, her voice, her independence, the graduation, the university, the future she had built toward for 18 years. What justice did was put one specific predator somewhere he could not reach anyone else and validate, at least partially, the scale of what he had done.
We forgive him and we have compassion for him, but that does not mean that we believe that he should be out of prison.
Queena's mother refuses to let that be the end of the story. She keeps telling it, keeps pushing it forward, keeps making sure her daughter is seen.
Her life ended that night, and so we felt that he should have gotten life as well.
That matters because predators don't announce themselves. They wait, they watch, and they count on people looking away. Queena cannot speak for herself anymore, so her family keeps her story alive.
2 life sentences, one in a prison cell, the other in her own body.
So if you believe victims like Queena deserve to be remembered, hit like, share this story, and subscribe, because silence only protects the attackers.